Okay, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, guys, whenever you watch this. As a part of MBA Prep Talk series, we speak to different people with different backgrounds and experiences about their CAT preparation journey and uh, how they went into preparing, as well as how they feel, what were the low points in their journey, etc. So today we have with us a special guest, Kruti. Before I start off, a backstory about Kruti. We usually do a students' reaction sort of thing at the end of CAT. So Kruti was supposed to be one of the reactions, one of the persons who was supposed to give a reaction. She was all masked up and ready to come and all the part. The unfortunate part was by the time she joined in, it was a little later than what we did. And the first part of reactions was already done, and we had to go and do a full part sessions for that. So Shruti could not join that particular reaction part. But even better good news is that Kruti has converted IIM Bangalore, Calcutta, and other alphabets which are there. But Bangalore and Calcutta are her bigger dilemma, as you have problem with rich kids. You don't know now which one to go, whether to go to Bangalore or to Calcutta, right? So she is now probably going to do some numerology or anything else. Let's see, figure out what we go about it. So, Shruti, Bangalore results came before Calcutta. And how did you feel when you got Bangalore?
um, Actually, it's like you don't believe the results and you keep on checking again and again whether you are actually selected. I mean, you are one of the candidates that has been selected to the Bangalore, right? I mean, it's a big opportunity, and actually it's unbelievable, and the feeling is definitely awesome, and there is no word as to what that feeling is, because you are uncontrollable that moment. You just keep on smiling. I was smiling for continuously. uh, I would say I was unable to sleep for 2 days because I was just smiling and imagining myself going to the campus, and it was an amazing feeling.
So there is a song from the 70s and the 80s. If I'm not sure whether it's the 70s or the 80s, this is a Lata Mangeshkar song which basically says "Aajkal paon zameen par nahi rakhte." So is that what happened for the first 1 hour, 2 hours, or are you still there? Cloud nine.
Yeah, I'm still there on cloud nine because it's something like everybody's, congratulating you, and in the society or in everywhere, people are like, okay, congratulations and all. So definitely it's like that. पाँव तो नहीं पड़ रहे थे जमीन पे, मतलब 2-3 घंटे तो समझ ही नहीं आ रहा था कि कैसे हो गया.
So how did you celebrate? Given that it's lockdown, it's not that we can go out and have a party and invite all friends over. But how did you celebrate?
So although it's a lockdown, but we could order some food and sweets, and we celebrated it by sharing the happiness with others around. And my mother likes to play carom a lot, so I thought to give her some time. And then for 2 days, I was like, "Chalo, jitni baar khelna hai, utni baar khelte hain." My studies are over now.
Okay. Your studies are not over. You will realize that very soon.
That is for time being, but definitely it's a lot.
Okay. Okay. So let us go through your part. I mean, see, unlike a lot of other people who come up, you are not from a large town. I mean, you are from a smaller town, and you are not an engineer also. So your story is doubly inspiring because first of all, there is a huge bias of people coming from tier one, especially metro cities, into the IIMs. Second is there is again even bigger bias of people who are engineers who are going in there, and being a girl, obviously a third level. So you have gone through three different parts of this. So it's very rare to find somebody like that. So given that it's very rare, I will not let go of this opportunity. So tell me, like, what is it that you feel like? I mean, like, coming from a small town, non-engineer, being a girl. Okay, uh, how difficult was it? I mean, did you find any specific parts, at least for the first two parts, being from a smaller town and being a non-engineer? Did you face any trouble during your journey and as well as during the interviews, etc.?
So the first part, that being from a smaller town. I feel that that's a positive or a plus point for me, because that time very few people were there who were from my district, that is Banswara, who were actually getting selected to something that bigger. So that time it was motivating, because one of my seniors, Shubham Raka, also went to such institute, and I was like, okay, everybody is celebrating what happened, because that time I was very immature. I was a kid at that time, so I was like, okay, I want to do something like that. So that was inspiring, and that inspiration was with me for a long time. So I think that it's a plus point for me. And secondly, my father is a very open kind of a person. So he is like, okay, there is no differentiation between me and my brother. Even I am given more opportunity when I'm studying. He is doing the house course, so it's like that. So there is no negative point as such. And thirdly, being a non-engineer is again an advantage, I would say, because in interviews also I was asked questions particularly from my domain, and that was really amazing, that they were quite interested in knowing me. And multiple people in right now also, when I joined Bangalore or Calcutta's group and such, I feel that people are actually interested in knowing more about me, because more people are from engineering background, and they are like, we are aware about this stream, but then if somebody is from other stream, they want to definitely know about it. So it was an advantage, although some people say that being a non-engineer is a disadvantage because you are bad at quants or something. But I feel that quants, let's move on to that on a later stage, but that was not a problem with me. So yes.
Okay. Okay, so tell us a little bit about your education background and your work profile. I mean, you also have a very interesting work profile and education background. So tell us a little bit more about your work profile, education background, and also your previous attempts in CAT.
Okay, so this was my second attempt in CAT. And before this, I was working with Pearl Global Industries Limited, which is an apparel export house. So there my job was to watch the quality or supervise the people in the quality department. And also it was on the production floor. So my job was to ensure that perfect garments are being made. If I say it in a layman term, like if there is Macy's or there is Gap, so such brands were being made in the factory. So that was my job. And my educational background, I'm from National Institute of Fashion Technology, Jodhpur. So I have done BF Tech in apparel production itself. So that's something different. And the selection criteria for it is also different, as there is a separate exam for NIFT. So yeah, that's about it.
Okay. Yeah. So so given that you are from fashion technology, right? First of all, it's not a technical field, and fashion technology is supposed to be like, at least a little bit more glamorous, at least compared to MBA. And these days you have all these things where people are starting up their own brands and apparel, etc. So what made you leave such a, I mean, growing industry and then pursue MBA, which is like these days become very common?
So it's definitely not like I'm leaving my industry and then doing MBA, but because to add further to my industry and contribute more meaningfully, I would say that MBA was required, because that time I was looking after for something very small domain, I would say. My area was very limited, but to contribute more, I would have to definitely go for something bigger and to gain that comprehensiveness. Although I'm going into much technical terms, but then yes, that was required to do better.
Okay.
Even further.
Okay. Okay. So let's look at your previous attempt and this attempt. What did you do differently versus your previous attempt? Whether it was preparation, whether it was being maturity, whether it was taking more mocks, etc. So take us through your journey about what was different this time and what you feel worked better versus last time.
So there were certain things that were changed this year. Like definitely maturity comes when you are working hard towards something. So in the first phase, I was a little immature. I was more into the traditional methods of solving sums and looking at the questions, and I was too deep into those things to figure out what can be the answer. But the second time when the preparation phase started, I was a little mature, and there is a way of looking at the problem from the outside, so that you gain the understanding, and then the sum gets solved in say 30 seconds or 40 seconds. So such kind of maturity comes when you do a lot of practice, and secondly, the number of I would say mocks definitely increased, because last year the seriousness was a little less, and I took a lot say about 20 to 25 mocks, and that were like I just gave them and left or forget them. So the next time when I started, I ensured that I'll go back to the mocks once again, and I'll keep revising them again and again until every question of that mock is, inside my head. So I kept an Excel sheet complete for each and every mock. I gave around 60 to 70 mocks this time, and I marked this from the year starting. So like from February, I was sure that I have to take 2 series of test series, and then I'll have to go through each test, and I marked the dates for each test. And then it continued, and for the last 1 month, I decided that I'll review each mock. And then with how did I review those mocks was because I had an Excel sheet. Like this question was difficult, this was difficult, or which questions I should do again. So such kind of depth was there this time.
Okay. So you were working partially during this period. You left your job towards the end. Okay. How did that happen? I mean, like, were you not getting enough time to prepare, or like you decided, okay, I have about a month and a half from now on to, go ahead and crack this exam. So let me give it my best for particular shot. So how did that happen? I mean, like, how did you manage your work, at least in the initial part with your preparation, and what made you leave your job before CAT?
So it's like I did not leave my job just before CAT. I left my job in April. So when the COVID started. So there are two things. I have done my preparation with job, and second time I've done my preparation without job. So it does not matter if I have a job or I do not have a job, because it's like you need to manage your time. When I had a job, I used to prepare in the slots, say from 4 a.m. in the morning to 8 a.m. So like those 4 hours, and in the evening for 2 to 3 hours. So such that I used to manage, because discipline has to be there, whether it's CAT preparation or if you're dieting or if you're going for any other exam. So that way I managed during my job. And second time when I was not doing my job, I had enough time to even look for the general knowledge part or current awareness and reading newspapers and all those stuff. So I increased my duration for study, and I also had time to spend on my fun part, or for refreshment, such as I already mentioned, carom or badminton or so. Yeah.
Okay. So that part is there. So take us through your day. How did your preparation look like? I mean, what was your like day like? I mean, like, when did you start? How much did you prepare on a daily basis? What did you do specifically for mocks, etc.?
Okay, so there were two kind of days over there during my whole preparation. So one was when I had a mock in a day, and one when I was regularly studying. So during the study day, when I had no mock, I used to like wake up around 5:30 or 6, because that's my general routine. Because my father is such, he's so strict. We are not allowed to stay in the bed after that time. So I wake up around 5:30, and then after that I go for a walk or in the park, which is there in our local society itself. So after that, I'm actually awake. So then after around 7 to 7:30, we have breakfast, and after 8, 9, I sit on the study table. So it's like I start preparing for the day. So it's like I have a schedule for that. For 2 hours, say I have to read the newspaper. If whether it's from Aeon or it's from the Guardian or whatever I have decided to do on the day. So like 2 hours of preparation for VARC, that is a reading part, and then some sort of a break, playing carom or say watching TV or some Netflix. So for 1 or 2 hours, I just spend the day like that. After that, I again sit and study my QA or LRDI part. So I used to cover all three portions in a day. So around 6:30, I used to get off from that study schedule, and then I used to spend my time on myself, on my pet, that I have a cat at home. So spending my time with my dad and such. So around 6:30, I used to get up from the schedule and go on other things. So that was my time. And secondly, when I had a mock day, I used to do nothing till 11 or 11:30. It was like I have a actual cat day. I used to behave that manner. So around 11:30, I used to give my mock, and after 2 or 3 hours of the mock, I used to analyze the mock. If that is a mock which is already there, a passive mock, which is not proctored. So I used to do the mock again after 1 or 2 hours. I used to solve the paper again without watching without watching the answers or looking at the answers. So I used to solve the paper again and mark the questions. And then there was a third round where I used to check the answers for each question which was there. So such that my whole day used to be, it used to be consumed in mock itself. So that was there.
Okay, so you're pretty focused when it comes to preparation. I mean, like you put in about 5 to 6 hours a day. Okay, minimum. I mean, like most of the times. Okay, so given that you have done so much and you have taken so many mocks and now CAT as well, let's go through each section and figure out we usually ask people what do they feel at the end of this. I mean, like when you're actually preparing, every single question is important. We tend to overthink. Okay, if you don't get a type of question in the mocks, right, you tend to overthink. Oh crap, I have to go and study this. I mean, you basically piss yourself up, or you're like really messed with it, right? So let's go, now that we have time to evaluate that, let's go back and reflect on what was the most overrated and underrated parts in each of the three areas. Let's start section by section. Let's go to VARC. What do you think, according to you, is probably people focus a lot on, but does not come up as much? And the reverse, people don't focus anything on that or don't focus that much, but it actually is pretty useful or very wide?
That's a difficult question, because generally my study is too much personalized and I do not focus on what others do generally, because that is a little I would say not.
No, but you will definitely be getting something on some of the forums or discussion boards, like, okay, this type of question has come up, or this is not CAT level, or this is way easy, or something like that. There are people cribbing all over the place, right? I mean, there is a lot of noise.
Yeah,
so how did
there
you
are
deal
two
with
sections in coming to VRC. Like people used to focus too much on VA part as well, along with RCs. So I think the most overrated part in VAs are para jumbles and such. I would say that definitely they're very important, but generally people focus on that too much. And in RCs also, RCs so definitely is one of the major component of VRC part. So those are overrated, but I would say at the same time they are really important. And underrated part, I would say there are actually multiple things that are there in VRC. If you go like there are fill-ups also are there in VRC part. So sometimes what we do is too much focus on one part, whether it's either RC or it's say para jumbles, and we break things in multiple segments. So that is one thing that is overrated. That concept of breaking everything in too many parts is overrated. I would say I prepare, and that is very personalized to me, because every person has their own strategy and it should be personalized. So for me, I thought that breaking too much everything was actually too much time consuming and too much complicated for me. So what I did was I used to read a lot. And reading actually changed everything in VA and RC itself. So you do not need to focus on each and every part in a very individualistic manner. You can just focus on learning. Uh, uh, I would say English is a component of your personality. I mean, you will need to have that aptitude, right? You will need to understand the words, and there are multiple phases. Like I initially started with not knowing the meaning of single words, so that was my base level. I was not understanding the meaning itself. Then after comes the hidden meaning part, where you need to find what actually the author needs to say, and which is behind the lines. So that comes after you actually understand what is the literal meaning, first of all, right? If you don't know the meaning of certain parts, and if it is too complicated as an RC, so you will definitely need to focus on your preparation of finding the words. So I had a separate diary for that, where I used to write words and their meanings. So it was definitely not required for everyone, right? It was required for me because I was not understanding, and I thought that I should do that this time. So I actually did, because my marks were pretty low in VRC initially. So I started with that, and it went on like and sometimes people say that you should start with the easy things and then go on a level. You can actually start with anything. You will, when you will arrive at a maturity, you will understand that, okay, whether it fits me or not, right? I started with the Guardian because I thought that it is very difficult, and it will actually solve my problem of not knowing the meaning of particular sentences, or say whole lot of paragraphs. So I started with that, and I started jotting down the words and writing their meanings, and I did that continuously. Suppose there is a word and I don't know the meaning, I googled it and wrote it down. And suppose that is again in the second paragraph and I forgot the meaning, I do not check the word from the diary, because that will be very hectic. I again google it and write down. So that ways I remembered everything. And then there came a phase where I was understanding the literal meaning, but then I was not understanding the behind part. So then I started solving my VRC in a question format, where I started solving RCs to understand the meaning of what author is trying to say, rather than understanding the paragraph as a whole. So yeah, that was my application for yes.
Okay, so let's move to the second section, which is LRDI. What do you find was you prepared a lot for but did not turn up, or were asked in mocks a lot but did not even come up, or was probably not in the form that it was asked in mocks? And the other way, I mean, where you did not prepare that much, or people around you did not prepare that much, and which was actually vital in you clearing the LRDI section.
So for LRDI part, I need to recall a lot, because then that's a bygone phase for me right now. So for LRDI part, I almost prepared for everything, but I was afraid of one part, that was cubes, because generally I'm not that quick in calculations. And also in the DI part, I was afraid of large tables and too much data initially. So I was afraid about those parts. And LR section, I would say that it was pretty doable for me. So that was one thing. And it also did not come up in my exam. So it was my fear. And so I was actually lucky that day, and LR came. I did almost 4 sets. So yeah, that's about it.
Okay. What about the quant part? I mean, like, given that you're a non-engineer and you said earlier that, it's not as difficult as people consider it to be. How did you approach the quant part, and what were the key things that you focused on and which you feel people should focus on, gets neglected while preparing, and vice versa?
In the initial phase of preparation, when I did not clear it, I actually put too much of emphasis on finding out the methodology. I mean, I was stuck on the traditional methods. Say we learn, which we learn in 10th and 12th and all those classes. So I was stuck on those methodology, and I was very stubborn that okay, there is no other way, I would go with this method only, and I will reach to a speed where I will do the calculations pretty fast, and I will do this in seconds. So I was pretty stubborn on this concept, and I was not learning new methods to solve those quant questions. And so there is a way that if there is a question, you if you start solving it, and you go for about 2 to 3 months, and you check on multiple videos that are there on YouTube, like methods for various answers that you also had in top my test series. So the methods are pretty different. They're not like going through the traditional method of solving by like x is equals to this and y is equals to that, or solving like equations. So for that, there needs to be a proper amount of practice that needs to be done for quants. So that is for a non-engineer like me, who is actually had a time lapse of say 4 to 5 years where we had no maths. So I was stuck on the methods of which were taught in school. So I would say practice is very required, and methods need to change. You need not to be stubborn in your practice. If mentors are saying that this can be a method, or you need to check that method again and again. Even in the mocks, there will be methodologies that will be given, and that will be different from your approach. So that needs to be taken care of, and you need to be very flexible. And if mentors are teaching you something, then they actually have a huge experience in that field. So you need to listen to them, and that's
That
my
is
advice.
okay. Okay, that part done. See, throughout this preparation part, okay, everyone reaches this. I mean, like, whether we learn anything, I mean, like, whether I'm learning programming, whether I'm learning to dance, whether I'm even you said carom or badminton, we all start. Will initial part because of our enthusiasm and eagerness to learn, we reach a certain stage, right? And after that, what happens is that we reach sort of like a level or a plateau or a flat sort of a thing where no matter what we do, things are not going well, right? I
Yes.
mean, my mock scores are not improving, my nothing, and my accuracy seems to be going for a toss. Every single mock usually turns out to be a nightmare. Did you go through that phase, and how did you come out of that phase?
Yes, yes, I went to that phase for a very long time. I mean, I was unable to increase my score because, as I said, I had a very stubbornness during my initial phase of preparation. So I was like, no, I will do from this approach only. I will not focus on others, what they are saying, or just shut down these videos and all those mentors are saying. And, okay, I'll do it by myself. So that time I was very stubborn. So I reached at a point where my scores were not increasing, and my percentile was also very stuck on the same percentile, same range. So that phase came, and how did I get out of that phase was in the next phase. I took a lot of time to get out of that phase because I knew that I had done something wrong initially. So I need to change that behavior. So I started focusing on what mentors say. If they say that reading is required, yes, definitely reading is required. You need to read. If they say that you need to practice a lot, yes, that is required. You need to practice. If they say that needs to be a mock score analysis, or there needs to be Excel sheet for that, yes, that's required. I saw one of your videos where you said that before an exam, you should analyze the paper, and quickly you should write down what type of questions are there in a section, or such sort of Excel sheet should, I mean, not Excel, I'm
Yeah,
actually
it's a
studying
table
Excel
sort
a
of
lot.
thing. Yeah.
So yeah, some sort of map should be there. So I actually implemented those things in my paper and during my preparation. So changes definitely came. They came late. It's not like you start to change and the results show up quickly. You need to have patience. You need to practice a lot, because changing your methodology takes a lot of time, I would say. I mean, you come back to your method again. You come back to your method again. And in a stressful situation, you come back definitely.
Yeah,
So you
that's
need to
because it has
practice.
become a habit, right? It's become a habit.
Definitely. So
Okay,
that was the
that's
thing.
very nice that you actually use that. Okay, before I complete this part, couple of things. Okay, so now that you have reached a stage, okay, where people are probably going to ask you for guidance, etc., and so on. Okay, there would be times where, especially when you left your job and then started preparing for it. Again, this comes up a lot. Uh, and you said like your things were not going so well. Did you feel like, okay, let me just give up on this? And okay,
Yeah.
yeah, so I said like, did I give up on this, or at least that thought came up, okay, maybe not this year, I'll probably need another year. Because see, it's a human nature, like, okay, if something is feeling very difficult, you feel very difficult, and you are young, people realize, okay, people think that, okay, what's the big deal going to happen, I can do it next year also, or the year after that, let me do something else, right? Did that type of phase come up, or how did your family react, how did your friends react, etc., to that?
Like for in the preparation, these type of negative thoughts definitely come, and some people say that be positive and keep working, right? So in the first phase I had this thing, and even in the paper that happened to me. I was not able to solve the my any question in LRDI for first 40 minutes. So it was a 3-hour paper last year.
Yeah,
So I was not able to solve any question in those 40 minutes. I was like, leave this paper here and let's go to home. I will try next year. And the paper is already out of my hand now. So, but they were not allowing me to escape, and I was so frustrated. So I thought, okay, let's start for again 20 minutes, and I actually did that. Okay, I solved 2 sets in 20 minutes, and I used to hear these stories. From people, and I was like, okay, these are, these people just say randomly because they have crossed this stage and they will just lie. Okay, I clear this stage. I mean, you can actually have this sort of moment where you in a stressful situation you actually solve something in a remaining time period. So this is a sort of magical thing that happens. So I used to be like, okay, whatever they say, they're lying. They are the people who crossed, and they can lie, right? They don't have any cross check. So that was my mentality, and it happened with me. So I was quite positive for the next time that, okay, some lucky things can actually happen with me also if I try, if I
if
get
you worked hard, it's not luck. If you worked hard, it's not luck. I mean, you make your own luck if you work hard. That's about it.
Yeah, definitely. Hard work has no substitute. I mean, you cannot depend on luck, but something I would say that luck is also a factor. There are many people who were with me, who were my friends, who could not sail through. So I would not say that they did not do the hard work, but definitely there was also a luck part, and it is there definitely. But you have to change things around yourself with your hard work. There is no substitute. So going to the part where I actually gave up or not, I gave up in my first attempt, but in the second attempt I was very clear that this is my last attempt. I have to do it, or I will do something else, and not my job, not my cat, not the cat. So I would do something very different. I would not sit in this exam for the next time. So that was my last attempt. I had to do it. I had to practice because I had no job. So I was like, I have to do this or nothing, right? So I had no other option. And I was like, okay, I will do. And there were some low times when my father actually helped me, and he motivated me, my brother, my mother. Everybody is there, right, around you. You need to seek help. You cannot be arrogant about it that, okay, it's my journey, I will do it. There's no one else. You have to keep your friends and family members in the tough times. They actually help you. So that
Okay,
was
coming to friends and family. Okay, that is something which a lot of people do it. I mean, like, in the sense, like, once they are preparing, and it is human tendency to sometimes get so immersed, so obsessed with just one part that they neglect everything. They neglect, okay, forget about the fact that you will switch off your Facebook, WhatsApp, which should be done, right? There they also have things like, I will not go out and speak with people. I will not socialize. I will just come out of my room only to eat, or take a shower, or and then go back again to my room, etc. How did you manage, given that you were sitting at home? Everyone was sitting at home because of COVID, and
yes.
we basically were like stuck, right? How did you manage to get away from all this and manage both your family as well as your preparation?
Okay, so for me, as I said, my family was very helpful during this time and they supported me. So they did not ask me that, okay, you are into your room for quite a long time, let's chill or like that. Okay, they were like, okay, for some time, if she is there, let her be, let her prepare. And after some time, I definitely indulge with the family also, because you cannot be like into one thing totally and ignore other parts completely. You definitely need to switch off your Facebook and all those other things which are very not very relevant, right? But your family and your friends, those who are actually close to you, are actually the part of your preparation. They are needed, because you cannot be in a constant mood or mindset for the whole journey for 6 to 7 months, or say for a longer period. You cannot be in the same mindset. You sometimes have low and such things. So never let your people whom you love feel that you are actually getting egoistic with your preparation, or that's something that is actually only your part, because they are also part of your success. They are actually happy if you go through, and they are sad when you actually are upset and you are, suffering in your mind. So I actually managed because they were supporting, and this is the criteria of a to reach this stage. Because if your family is not supportive, or if the environment is not supportive, it's really get difficult to sail through such times of preparation.
Okay. Thanks, Kruti, for actually coming up and taking time through that. We wish you all the best with your selection dilemma, also whether to choose Bangalore or Calcutta. Guys, Kruti prepared with us for LRDI. Her LinkedIn will be available in the description of this particular video, in case you want to connect with her on LinkedIn and follow her journey through whichever IIM she goes through. My name is Vivek, and you are watching MBA Prep Talk. Till the time we meet again, goodbye, stay safe, all the best. Just 1 minute, I'll just stop the record.